Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days. I'm What Life is Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley. I'm your host, Carrie, and joining us today is local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Camus. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historic sites throughout communities in the state of Massachusetts. His tours spotlight local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. So, in today's episode, we'll be talking about St. Paul's Methodist Church, located in Ludlow, Massachusetts. So, where is St. Paul's Methodist Church located?
It's on 115 Hubbard Street within Ludlow. It's towards the north center area of Ludlow, and it's a nice little church, and we're going to talk about the architectural style of the church and the rectory today, and what's becoming of a church, and how does it compare to the other churches around this area. It's fairly easy to find. It's in a neighborhood that probably was formed about 1890s, 1900, and that's why this church was put in place. And of course, it serves the Methodists, which have a method to the style of their religion, right? And the church itself is from 1904, and it says that right in the cornerstone. And we'll talk about the style next.
And so, what architectural style does the church and rectory have?
It has a Romanesque revival look to it, but it's very stout, and the steeple or tower off to its left-hand side is also very short and to the point stout, and thus it's a very nice looking church. Everything's small and compact, and it's all painted white, and it's well taken care of within the present day. Now, it has a Methodist flag emblazoned on its front column or gable.
Continue with the rest of our interview just to fill our listeners in. If you want to sign up for any of his various tours, check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And you can find other episodes within our series and more there. And you can also email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun educational outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our episode, what has become of the church?
It's become a new church outside of the Methodist church that was there. It's now called the Family Church, subtitle Reaching the Nations. And I think it's a church associated with the ethnic group of people from Brazil. And so it's trying to attract people within that domain. It's a Protestant church, probably a Pentecostal style church by the end. And it used to have a rectory next door to it that was built in around the same era, and it had a beautiful four-sided look to it. It's hard to say which kind of Victorian style home it would be, but I have a nice picture of it on my webpage. Okay, so you can look at both, and of course you can visit them very easily. But you can tell by the kind of windows it had on the church itself, on the front and the back, that it must have had nice stained glass windows at one time. So they might have taken most of those out. When a lot of churches do, when they move, they'll take those out, or when another church comes in, they'll take them out.
And how does this church fit into the scheme of churches in Ludlow?
All right, there's many different denominations of churches in Ludlow. Remember that Ludlow was small until it got a canal around the 1880s, and then started to grow. And a lot of the workers were Catholic, and so you had 4 Catholic churches within Ludlow, for instance. But then you started getting Episcopal churches, a couple of those. You got the St. Paul's Methodist Church, and then you got Union churches, Church of Latter-day Saints, Ukrainian churches, Orthodox churches. And so thus, it's a typical small community style where we'll get a lot of Catholic churches because of the worker immigrants coming in. But then you get all these special denominations. None of them enormous numbers, so you get a lot of small churches around for the Protestants and the big, beautiful churches around for the Catholics. Now, New England is all filled with these situations, but if you lived in New England all your life, you don't realize that most of the rest of the United States is all Protestant. So you don't have these situations occurring. So I hope you get to go out there and visit all the many churches of Ludlow and see what they're like. And you probably quickly get favorite ones, including those Catholic ones. The Portuguese Catholic, especially Our Lady of Fatima, is quite beautiful.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can check out a large selection of our other episodes of his podcast on his website as well as on SoundCloud.com. And so stay up to date with new videos and podcasts posted daily. Thank you for tuning in.